Rel player. He's already played this one time and had it banned against him afterwards it happened, and it kind of fell under the radar, and now it's back. Steals away armor. You know what? That's brilliant into a champion like the Leona. I will say though, when you are playing with two aggressive supports like a Leona and a Rel and immobile AD carries, well, there will be kill pressure. And I actually think Leona has a little bit more kill pressure in this lane than the likes of Rel does. I think both champions obviously scale very well when they get into the mid game in terms of what they do with their kit. But for laning phase, I think Leona does have a little bit of an edge. And also just in terms of combat summoner spells, you can see from the side of Spiky, they have the advantage of being able to go heal. But Odie, I mean, he's forced to go cleanse because he's playing against Leona.
He is, and of course, do we want to call out Duel has gone towards Aftershock, not something like the Glacial as well on the Rel. Does want to have that additional survivability, because the thing is, if you do get engaged, and we saw, the last time we saw Rel pick today, did kind of get blown up from nukes when they went a little bit too far every now and then.
I'm curious to see how much the first strike from Corki is going to do in this instance as well. It's something we saw a lot against a bit either melee laners, but once he started playing against control mages, he kind of just put that first strike away because he never really got it proc. Now against an AD carry like a Tristana, it's going to be about who can get the damage down first to see who really gets it started. But for once, I do believe that the Corki will be pushed under his lane or under his tower in the laning phase. Something we've seen other AD carries equalize on a little bit better, like the Kai'Sa we saw from Eminence last week. This time around, Muto on the Tristana. Not sure if he's going to have the kill pressure on level 2, but I mean, they can most certainly try and flip it.
Yeah, you can give it a go. Of course, got the teleport, not the ignite, so no combat summoner. And I do want to call out as well, of course, is C-Boy on Jin's out versus Paul on the Ivern. And that could get really messy for Ivern if he does get tracked, if you do get invaded on, because Jin's out early. I don't think the Ivern wants anything to do with that, as Duel does get an early engage there on a Spike and gets a bit of a chunk out onto the Aphelios. Does have Severum, so she would have healed up somewhat, but still not exactly the most pleasant experience for
but that's the kill pressure we're talking about here, and you can see Poppy actually primed his top side first. You can see his blue buff and his wolf is currently ready to take. This allows him to walk down to the bot side immediately when the gank timer is not really there yet. So all you have to wait for as Pop right now is just get level 2 on Leona and try get in there. And right now, I mean, he's actually missing a little bit of a timing because they're going to hit level 2 in 2 minions. And there's going to be no wards, and now the ward is finally down. So because that engage came in the beginning, Spiky, they lose out on a little bit of XP and they're not able to commit to a play there.
I appreciate the look in there, but just couldn't quite make it happen. Of course, now does get to clear right the way back up the top. Of course, Ivan does get to, once he's primed those camps, does get to take them very quickly, and there's no real way to contest that because he just eats the camp out of nowhere. Of course, but he doesn't eat them. He takes them into his menagerie. Ivan is a friend of the forest, not a ravening monster, generally speaking, unless he's run like that. He's got like that eldritch horror skin that I forget the name of, like, what is it? It's not Coven Ivan, but it's the similar universe.
Oh, well, there's Coven, and then there's the Candy one, who's definitely the most scary one. Like, he's literally just eating Candyman when he's recalling.
Oh lord, no, I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah, no, I had burned that one from my brain alongside old Lollipoppy, which was similarly horrifying. But thank you for that, Goldblock. I'm going to be having nightmares about that this evening because I had, deliberately blanked that from my memory, and here we go again, I suppose. Not a huge amount to write home about in this early game as it stands. Singularity with this, as we said, slightly off-the-wall draft. They pulled this out a few times and hasn't fallen apart yet, but that's, fairly low bar to set for only 4 minutes in.
Yeah, I love the read here. They have Pulp spotted on Vision, and they're trying to bait it, trying to force him to go forward here, because it is a slow push that Shikari is having. So it's a really good shadowing right now from C-Boy, because he would need this either way. And now Pulp comes around. C-Boy is in fog of war.
There's the trigger seed that does come through, but it's just a warding off. C-Boy reveals himself, and not a huge amount burned there, just a little bit of an opportunity cost in terms of some camp still up, that bot lane Scuttlecrab still around, that top side Gromp still there, and not much aside from that right now.
No, that's the thing. So Pop right now, he's going to try and prime his jungle, can go for a reset afterwards, and then just move, there we have it. Move out down towards the bot side. He's got Crocs available, can look for bot lane immediately, because bot lane is the last lane we need to have reset, because right now the entire map has reset except them.
There we go, and time to see, of course, what happens as we kind of move towards first objectives coming out like that. Drake will be spawning shortly. You can see Suboy moving around to get that Scuttle Crab. We've got Herald in a few minutes, and kind of curious as you think who's likely to have priority over that, and who you think is going to be focusing on trying to get something happening around something like that initial Herald.
Well, so far with the Drakes, you just want to stall it out a little bit from the side of Bifrost until you finally have that package on Corki. Sure. That's all you're really looking for now. Having that reset down towards the bottom, this is a really good cheese.
Oh, lovely stuff. Root call it into the Ignite, and that will be a very dead Rel. Burnt down to the ground, straight back to the Forge to you.
Yeah, great job there from the side of Singularity, actually finding a really good pickup where Bifrost thought the enemy bot lane had already reset. They tried to push it in ASAP so they could get their own down, but Pop, as you already talked about, he had primed his Grom, could just recall, go for the Crocs, and just setting it up on Jewel beautifully there.
Yeah, there's just nothing you can do. Always been Rel's problem. You can engage just fine, but you don't necessarily take people engaging on you particularly happily.
She's one of these awkward champions that requires a lot of knowledge about your positioning, because once you take one W you should not take, you're in there, and you're slow as hell. There's nothing you can do. Now, Mutsu is out on a roam on Shikari, but he's just here to look around, and now with the enemy mid laner spotted on the top side, Seaboy and Joel, they're just gonna get the first Drake here for themselves. Not even package required for Fury.
Porp doing a nice job there, holding the wave for Muta as well. And Desta back out of the lane, having held that for his grateful mid laner. Red sides, Bifrost that is, do manage to secure themselves an early dragon. But aside from that, not too much to write home about. And nice little early play, as we said, from Singularity. And a good moment, because a lot of their early plays in previous series and previous games have been turned around so hard. Just look back to that JDXL game where Dan just ran rampant in the early game after turning around that level 1 invade.
Yeah, that's the thing, but this one is a little bit different. It's a more slowed down pace of the game here, and you can see they're just trying to look for scouting and intel. Pop took the Raptors from Seaboy, moved up towards the top side, clear the way the pink ward, so they're just mostly setting up for future plays here. They don't really have too many pink wards in their own inventory in terms of trying to get aggressive, because no one really has that definitive pressure just yet. So now that there's 1 minute on the Rift Herald, I think that's going to be the first objective where we finally start seeing big movements of the teams down towards the bot side. You can see Singularity is actually building up a wave. If they get to crash this wave, time it with the Rift Herald, they get to have move first on Yeppe, they could actually put themselves in a little bit more of a favorable position. Now the counter argument is, of course, Corki can save his package for this instance.
He definitely can, and he may well likely do so. I know a lot of coaches, a lot of analysts, a lot of personalities in general have been really harping on Corki package timings around objectives. It's one of those key bits to using the champion. It's not particularly hard to do, but you do need to do it right. And Porp, however, is thinking about doing a gank down here, right? Looking to maybe get something happening, but just hanging around, will be on vision the moment he comes around here, but now Odie's in trouble. They're going to engage onto Jewel, who's got the flash, going to try and crash down to Porp, who flashes away, but gets root called and will go down again. Spiky picks that one, and Singularity finding a lot of success in ganking this bot lane.
I think this may be one of the cleanest early games I've seen from Singularity in terms of how they're actually approaching the map here, because no one's really going in for overcommitments. Porp is just playing around nicely around his own jungle timings. And it feels good to see Pop being the one playing for lanes as well. You know, he does have his cartas, his favors just quite a little bit, but I am a bit more of a fan of his style where laners are getting facilitated. I think that's an easier play style for teams that are struggling. And so far, you're getting your affiliates ahead, which is definitely a reliable win condition.
It really is. And also, they're going to maybe, never mind, I'll talk about that later, as Muta has to burn the flash and, of course, the buster shot there as he went for a jump in and didn't realize that Fury was, in fact, supported by Duel, who was there in the lane as well.
Yeah, but now it does give them some trading advantage here, and teleport unfortunately not available, but with Pop up here, with the ability to move in while Corki is recalling, and this first move from the side of Leona, is actually decent, but the problem is, we go for package now, topside, Shikari forced the flash.
Flash did have to come out there. Tatui going to try and get more damage down, misses that needlework though, and now the turnaround can come through, and Tatui's in a lot of trouble. Barrel doesn't go quite enough and just want to look for another trial by fire. All the while, though, Singularity do secure this Rift Herald. They're going to have to try and get out of here before Bifrost come to engage. They'll lose a Scuttle Crab, but they get the Herald, and that's definitely the bigger win overall.
Yeah, but the more you can stall them here, the better. Your Jinx is just chilling down towards the bot side, picking plates up for themselves, so you can delay a Herald play. If you can delay a reset and make sure no one's answering her, this could actually potentially be winnable from the side of Bifrost. I don't actually know if we can take a look down towards the bot side. Okay, so 3 plates almost getting taken. Odie, he can push this wave, he can take the 3rd plate, he can look for a reset, and he can try and join his team on the top side rather, to try and answer the response and rotation that's come through from Singularity.
Yeah, just a little bit of dithering in the river there. You saw them going back towards the top lane, back towards the mid lane, and as a result, maybe gave Odie more time down there than they would have liked. He does get those 3 plates, so he does now turn up, but an additional plate to what you would normally get on a Rift Herald push.
Yeah, but this is also a win for Singularity because they got rid of the Corki package, meaning that they didn't actually get a Rift Herald because they picked up the Corki package. They didn't find a fight with the package, and now it's also on cooldown for the next Drake, so finding that extra pressure point with the Corki package is not going to be a thing around the next neutral objective, and with 1 minute on the Drake, they can still try and look here, but vision control is in favor of Bifrost, so they're moving up their members now. This could turn into a 4 versus 3.
Remember, there is no ult book for Porp right now, so no Daisy. Duel hunting for that Magnet Storm. That crash down. Yeppe Howe in a difficult position. Misses the Zenith Blade. Fury is here as well. Knocked back as the Leona flashing away the other side. Decent solar flare by Space, but Yeppe taking so much damage. Super Mega Death Rocket secures the kill.
Just too many rockets to deal with from the side of Bifrost. I mean, granted though, the amount of members you moved up, they're only getting 1 decent from the side of Singularity. Could definitely have been worse, but they don't get to commit a play on the Rift Herald. But they are getting some plates as well in the mid lane, and this looks to be that point of attack here. Muta, he's just going to push it in. They're going to try and get a charge. Members of Bifrost are trying to collapse on them at the same time. Seaboy, Joel coming in. How much can you do about this situation? Not much. The Rift Herald will charge.
Get a huge amount. Remember, that's into a Tristana. At the moment Corki leaves them, there is no teleport. That's an exhaust that they've run. The moment Corki leaves, the moment Fury looks for a roam, an explosive charge and a couple autos, and that tower is done.
But that's also, that does mean that resets has not come through from Muta, okay? So, honestly, I take that back. It hasn't really been needed, but the bigger one is actually Pop. He's only sitting on Moby boost, but there's just no pressure right now. You can see majority of the members of Bifrost up on the top side, so they actually get to equalize on their own. Singularity picking up a Drake and evening the neutral objective count on that front.
Yeah, this has been, as you said, the cleanest early game we've seen since Singularity in a while. Bifrost haven't managed to find 2 big advantages in lane. Honestly, in fact, it's pretty even to a head in the solo lanes. Porp's managed to secure a couple of those early ejects. Yes, a bit behind in the individual farm, but that's Ivan, honestly, in general. He's not the quickest farmer. And honestly, as it stands, feeling pretty happy as this game goes. It's playable from here.
And now that resets are coming through, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Muta, because he's been a guy that we've often had on control mages, only looking to farm a little bit. But, I mean, his farm has always been nice. You can even see it now he's got 10 CS a minute. So, one of the best farmers we actually have in the league. But that, at the same time, has also been one of my criticisms of this guy, is that I often only find that being his redeeming quality and never really see that leading to much. When you're on a champion like Tristana, where you rely a lot on the damage you're able to output in team fights, where you rely on getting retouched, being conscious of when you need to jump forward and when you need not to, that's going to be a big question mark for me, because I'm sure Fury can perform on this Corki. I think it's easier to perform on a Corki because his damage is just absurdly broken. I think Muta has a taller task ahead of him, so that's going to be curious to see how he deals with that task.
Just managed to get out of the way pretty rapidly here. Seaboy and Duel were kind of hunting around to see whether there might have been a dive or a tower push angle there, and they've rotated the bot lane down towards into this mid lane to try and find something, but actually here comes Seaboy and Duel looking to get into Yeppe. Of course, burnt the flash earlier. It's gonna Zenith Blade out of the cannon barrage, but sure to fall, and Seaboy just picks that one up, roaming back towards the mid lane. A little overshoved from Singularity.
Very interesting. They're looking for priority this hard because they don't actually see any members over the other side of the map, not down towards the bot side where they have the vision, and not up towards the top side. And pressing forward in mid lane when no objectives are there is really greedy for the plays you had there.
Yeah, it was a little greedy, did get them punished. They're going to summon Daisy up top to chase away the rest of Bifrost, as Fury has to Valkyrie over the wall there, taking a lot of damage from the Crescendum and the Severum combo. And going to now see how this game plays out. It did seem like Singularity managed to get most of the early goal from those plates, but Odie getting a couple plates on the bot side, getting a couple more plates on that top side, managed to even that up a little bit. And with about 3 seconds before those plates fall, in fact, they've fallen. First turret in mid looking like the next goal for Singularity.
Now we like to define mid game by reaching 14 minutes. Unleashed teleports come through, bounty starts getting active. But so far with the gold lead only being 100 apart, I wouldn't believe that if you told me this was one of our best teams, second place team, against our last play teams right now. The caliber that Singularity is showing right now is actually quite impressive considering the rough start, first half to the split they've had.
And it's like slight advantages towards the jungle and towards the AD carry for Bifrost, but in the mid lane, Muta with a pretty sizable lead. Pretty good as well for Tatu. He's been playing around some of those plates as well, so you've got gold in the right places. You can play this mid game, and Tristana, Aphelios with an Ivern supporting you as a kind of semi-enchant. You've got a Gwen as well as a front line. You're not scaling badly here, even if, of course, Jinx, Corki, Gangplank, known for their own scaling options.
Oh, that's the thing. The front line is good as well. Gangplank, as you mentioned yourself, will just passively farm on that gold, and that is the true thing as well. Bifrost doesn't necessarily need to commit to plays all the time. If they're confident in their own team fighting ability and the individual outplay they also have in their roster, that is a win condition in itself as well. But once again, you gotta give credit to Singularity. They've held on very well to this mid to early game.
But is holding on good enough when you've given
It's good enough so far. We'll give them credit where it's due. And now, when the Rift Herald finally comes in, if they win this team fight, that's where we absolutely lose our mind.
Fury doesn't have the package. Worth noting that Seaboy takes a bit of a chunk there. It's Calibrum into the Severum. Sorry, it's into the Chakram. It's not going to be quite enough for Seaboy. Gets a hold of Muta. That's the Tristana just gone. Yepe in the back of the bit has to flash out. Shikari's there. Might be the trade. Does go down. So we've got solo laner for solo laner. Herald going low. But look at the Chakram stack. Duel getting chunked out. Skill force forward from Spike. He gets another. The Herald was taken, but they can't secure it. Bifrost having to flash away. Gwen goes immune into Root on the Seaboy with that Root caller. They're gonna get taken down, and the Friends of the Forest looking to punish the invaders.
That's beautiful from Singularity, and this is where I said it. This is where we start to lose our mind just a little bit. Singularity now tipping the gold over in their favor, actually winning a team fight against Bifrost, okay? I know that sounds a little bit demeaning, but it's huge from a 10th place team who's been struggling to find footing to actually find a team fight out of nowhere this Herald. So let's have a look at how it actually goes down. It's a good solar flare initially from Hepa, who actually baits out the Crescent Strike. Now, Muta does get completely blown up, and the fight just gets a little bit messy. I thought for sure they're going to lose it at this point. But this Ivern and Spiky as well on the Aphelios really coming in clutch with this team fight, punishing an unmounted Rel.
And now the Chakrams are stacked. Now you've burnt so much killing off Muta. You've lost your Gangplank, and you can just run at them from this point. And Ivern, maybe LS had it right all along. Maybe we should be finding mass here in the NLC. We'll add a couple extra dates, and Cloud9 beginning to affect the rest of the world perhaps with this Ivern pick. Moonstone now complete. Bifrost will secure themselves a second Drake, but Singularity are thinking about maybe finding Fury, who has to package over the wall. But they do secure that Drake. And
that's the important thing. They do get the second Drake for themselves, but how's the map state looking like? With so many members being down towards the bot side, with no TP being up and available, with mid lane prio now, Singularity could move a member off towards the top side. Keep the pressure active in the mid lane, have Tatooine down towards the bot, and see if you can punish these camp respawn timers, because you do have momentum to play around with when we are fighting with the Ivern. You can see Aphelios getting quite big as well. 3 kills on Spiky.
Beautiful stuff. And that's what you needed to see from Singularity. It's been a stable early game for pretty much the first time this split. For pretty much the first time this season, I feel like, in a lot of ways. And they are now actually up a fair amount of gold, about 1,000 or so. They've got scaling picks, who've got the right amount of gold. They've got an enchanter in that Ivern backing them up. And they are absolutely in a position to play and potentially win this game. Of course, Bifrost on the other side aren't out of this. They've managed to get themselves 2 dragons. They can certainly play this. But they are going to look to find ways to punish something for Singularity here if they can.
Oh man, beautiful counting as well from Muta there. What he did is he went into the bush, sat still, and basically what you do is you just count to 8, because obviously that's a recall timer. As soon as you've counted to 8, you can acknowledge that the enemy has probably recalled, and when they do that, you move up, you go for the turret, and Muta, he should be able to put up the top side turret for himself here. Yes, as we see it. Good stuff from the Singularity mid laner.
And it's super hard to out-shove a Tristana. And Tristana into Gangplank, she just range shoots your barrels. You get the initial shove because you've got your AoE auto attacks on the kills. Fury, though, of course, not quite at 2 items yet, but that is still a Corki, and we've seen what Corki can do 0-0-3 or not.
So the thing we really haven't mentioned yet is how it may be a bit difficult for Singularity to pilot mid-game or late-game team fights if they're not first on the objective. Reason for that is they don't deal well with the range stats coming in from the side of Bifrost composition. You don't outrange the Corki. the Gangplank barrels that gets chained up. If you don't stop them, they also outrange you. And obviously Jinx with her Q as well, just outrange some champions. Musa can respond when he finally gets, I think it's above level 13 or something like on that on Tristana. But what I'm trying to say with the ease of execution, if you're not first on the objective, someone will be forced to face check. And despite Yeba being a nice tank, I'm not sure you can face check that many members without taking a bit too much damage for your own good. So it's really important for Singularity that they don't drop the ball now in mid-game. And as soon as an objective respawns, so the 2 minutes we have on this Drake, you've pushed out your lanes first, you secured the vision control, and you've secured it deep so you know where your enemy is coming from and you can be first at the objective.
I like the fact you've set up what you need to see from Singularity. And yes, we're focusing on them because bluntly, this is a really pleasant surprise. It has been frustrating for the players, for the team, for the viewers, for us here in the studio to see Singularity really struggle to put together something that looks competitive in a lot of these games. And they are in a position right now to really take it to Bifrost, the third place team, this team that was taking wins off X7. X7 of all people. And they're in a great position right now.
And remember, that came from the bot lane difference as well. Those two were the difference maker, Jewel and Odo against Kasing and Nata. This game, it's been a little bit of a different story where Spiky and Yepa, with their right amount of jungle attention from Pulp, has actually showed up. And honestly, I think that's great from Pulp. I think he's been one of my more criticized junglers here in the league, especially out of my own opinion. But seeing him just finding a footing where to hover and where to shadow on a champion like Ivern that kind of just allows you to prime your camps and then just move around the map may have just been exactly what Singularity needed. Obviously, though, we cannot count out Bifrost. And I know I spend a lot of my time on Singularity right here, but we don't get much time to talk about the players of Singularity. We haven't seen all too much good stuff come out from them. That is just a harsh reality. So finally seeing this for them, it is good stuff. But remember what we talked about. Getting up to an objective first is very important, and you can see Bifrost now cleaning out the vision.
They are, and the reason they're doing it is because it's a minute until this Ocean Drake. It will be sole point for Bifrost. Keep your eyes on things like the package timing. I'm assuming Fury has just gone back and picked it up. He's got 2 items, so that Corki is online and ready to start poking people, and this could be the breaking point. Bifrost are the ones with the river control right now. They're the ones with the mid lane shove, and unfortunately, I think it's not hitting that checklist as we asked for, Goldberg, because I think it's going to be Bifrost are actually the ones that are in there. Instead, they're going to try and pull up towards this Baron and potentially call a bluff here,
But even if you start this up, you'd only have 1 tank, so your main form of turning is not going to be able to go for this one.
You've got Daisy. You could try pulling that out.
That's true. That's actually true. But package is also available. Blue trinkets, maybe a few available as well. And yet, Bifrost, they're playing it smart. They're calling the bluff. They're just taking the mid lane control, and then they're just moving down towards the Drake.
There's Daisy summoned. They're going to move back towards this river, and they're just trying to draw Bifrost away, make it hard, maybe time out the package. Remember, it's not going to be around for that much longer. There's the start, and Bifrost, it's time. You've now got to try and get into this objective. The poke coming over the wall, but it's not doing that much yet. Here comes Daisy, who will now take over the tanking duties. Bifrost, what can you do here? That's the cannon barrage out, and Yepe is the one that is taken low as a result of it. All the while, Odie soloed out the Drake. So Bifrost find their way around that attempted double fake out from Singularity.
Exactly, and that's what we wanted to highlight. We wanted to have the lanes pushed out in the beginning, but it turned out it was Bifrost who flipped the coin. They grouped up before the members of Singularity. They poked them out of the lane, and you can see Singularity, they got a bit indecisive. They wanted to try and go for Baron instead, but Bifrost, they played it smart. They put their AD carry on the Drake alone, and therefore they could move up with Fury just to keep the poke up. Gangplank's ultimate as well. You're just not able to continue to stay in the pit.
And that is the problem playing Baron into Gangplank. He throws down your R, and you all have to leave. You don't want to be there, and they get out of this, but they're going to bring it back and just go again. Yes, the Dragon's down, but they can do this again. But there is no Gangplank, there is no package. Singularity can absolutely take this. It will be a flip. C-Boys around, and they're willing to go for it right now. Down to half HP. In comes Jewel from the side. It's a route onto that rail. They're going to head forward. Yepe is there. Gets the Zenith Blade, and of course the Shield of Daybreak. The Magnastorm is going to be taken away with the bus shot. Tatui going in the backline. It is Yepe that's gone down, but Tatui can't stay alive. 2 dead already. And Singularity tried to turn, and they take too much damage. My lord, the Corki damage. And Singularity, it looks so bright for a moment, and it's all fallen apart. Odie gets the triple kill. Odie got the Drake, and Odie will help them secure the Baron as well.
That's what happens. We reached a 2-item power spike, and we talked about it. The ground between the champions, it became too hard, too difficult to deal with. Initially, it's a good route. It's a good route. It's a good pickup. They're trying to get aggressive, but unfortunately, the CC comes down from Muta a little bit too late, and Tatui gets knocked into the enemy backline. There's a Crescent Strike. There's members soloing him down, and the rest of them, they just can't join the fight. And that's the thing when you have double AD carry, you love to kite back, or you love to blow up a target immediately, where you can try and equalize on a man advantage. Neither of those things were present in that team fight for Singularity, and thus they're not able to successfully continue their lead in the mid game, and now it's completely flipped. 3 minutes onto the Ocean Soul, Baron buff on the map from Bifrost. They should be able to try and take over the map now.
And from brilliant, mad moment, you thought Singularity looked like they might be doing it in this game, and Bifrost in this mid game around these dragons, around that Baron, snuff it out. They are the ones in control. They are the ones at the advantage, and Singularity need to find a way to claw it back. They can still do it. They're not done in this game, but I feel that if they can't secure the next dragon, it's going to be all but over.
But they're going to be smart about it. The classic play on 2 lanes when you have Baron take control over the enemy jungle and just force them away. They shouldn't be able to be here. Muta might even be too far forward if they just rotate down, but Bifrost, they're going to choose... Oh no, what are you doing?
He's going to be there, and actually Singularity just leaving him out to dry a little bit here, but Muta's around and Seaboy can't actually force onto him. They're going to turn it around on Seaboy, who's got the ultimate, may need to burn it possibly here. Here come the rest of Bifrost, and Singularity don't have their AD carries around quite yet. Spikey's going to turn up now, but it's going to be too little, it's going to be too late. Yepe's down, Duel gets on to Spikey. He gets that Attract Repel to boot. Can they try and stay alive best they can?
Oh!
They can Death Rocket secures one, while the Auto secure the other. And Bifrost pick apart a very uncoordinated Singularity in their own red side jungle.
Yeah, that's the thing. You play 2 lanes and you take control of the enemy jungle. That was the call out. It seemed like Singularity just were stubborn about it. They refused to give up their jungle, but in turn, that's not really their choice. And when you opt in for a play like that, you're just expected to lose. Not much to do about the situation.
And as a result, they're going to lose a lot more than they might have otherwise. Fury is on to this bot lane tier 3. Mid lane wave crashes as well now. A couple brush makers are put beside the towers to maybe offer a little bit of shielding, a bit of cover for people, but they're just not going to get much out of it. Mid lane inhibitor falls. Bifrost now up 8,000 gold after a mid-game that seemed pretty close for a while there.
Yeah, and you can just go for this last turret if you want to. You can say, all right, let's not risk it. Let's just go for a reset. There's 1 minute onto Ocean Soul. Once we get that, it becomes even more difficult to fight with. And you can see how deep the vision is right now already from the side of Bifrost. Singularity, they're going to be using a lot of their sweepers just to take control of their own jungle, which means in turn, they won't have too many sweepers active for taking control of the river. It's going to be very difficult for them to push out the lanes. And you can see they just decide to completely skip that step. They're going to try and Metal Gear Solid it, try and sneak into a lane where they won't be prepared for them, and Jewel might pay for his life with this.
He's here early, he's gonna get knocked up, there's no cannon barrage, he's just gonna go down. Singularity get the pick, and that is a huge moment. 30 seconds till the Drake, and they will have the man advantage.
Yeah, but still remember, they don't have too much vision control, so the info is not really in their position or in their favor. And Bifrost, they're looking like a team that still wants to fight this one.
Moves onto the side, but there's a package straight over. Fury gonna try and get as much down as they can. The exhaust comes out, and they'll get a hold of it. That's the package down, but they get the mid laner. Now the 4v4 continues. Moonlight Vigil comes through and a binding eclipse afterwards. Seaboy locked up. They're gonna jump forward to the root caller, doing so much damage. Look at the damage from Aphelios, but it's gonna be Fury who gets a lot down. Tatui goes down as well as Yepe and Porp, the 2 supports who are alive, and they're about to fall as well. Yepe running away. The thumbs up come down, but it's Odie who puts the thumbs down and secures the kill, executing the rest of the team.
Yeah, with 20 seconds, it should be a possibility for Bifrost to end this game. They get the Ocean Soul. Shikari, he's TP'd into the Nexus. 20 seconds on Singularity members. I think this just might be it. It was a valiant effort in the early game from Singularity, but they could not continue it in the mid game.
And they tried, they pushed, they fought.
Oh, I may have started that one a bit too early. 4 seconds on Muta, 4 seconds on Spikey.
They maybe, just maybe, can take the fight, but here comes the rest of Bifrost. They're gonna not quite lose that final Nexus tower. And we call it a touch early. Singularity hold on by the skin of their teeth. They are hanging on the precipice here.
The question remains, for how long can you do that? 3 items, that's what they're looking for in their 280 carries. Muta, Spikey, they're looking for an Infinity Edge. But you take a look over on your opponent's side. Fury, he's picked up 3 items. Odil, he now sitting on 4 items, 4.5 with the BF sword as well. And they're just going to be collapsing on their top side. They have 2 inhibitors, 1 in the mid, 1 in the bot. And therefore, they should just be able to move in and try and go for the finishing touches. I'm not even sure if they need to go for the top side inhibitor. With the pressure, with the poke, they could just run it straight down mid.
just taking a look at this blue side jungle. Odie is not around at the minute. He's rotating towards this top lane wave as perhaps is possible. And Bifrost, they've got one Nexus tower separating them from the Nexus. It's on about 20% HP. Singularity trying to see whether they can catch someone out again, but Bifrost playing by the numbers. Trying not to give anything else up.
Look at the map, right? You have one of your AD carries in the mid lane, you have one of your AD carries in the bot side, and even if you go for a pick there, you're most likely just ended up to lose that fight. The poke with Ocean Soul as well. Bifrost really love these small trades as well, so it's a difficult situation, and Siege starts to come through. No Baron up minions though.
Potions pop, you heard that. That's actually a decent solar flare, but they can't get onto Odie. That's the flash down, though. Jinx with no flash, a potential target, but you're still dealing with the range disadvantage unless you find the clean engage. Corki and Jinx can just throw stuff at you without any kind of response really available.
And that's the Dane cannon wave coming in now towards the top side as well. How much can they trim this one? Do Odie stay stack forward?
That's it. They get into the back. They're going to try and do as much as they can, but look how much they're separated. Duel doing his best to bring down as many as he can. Tatui is dead. There's no way to stay alive. Spiky goes in, but he only gets the Rel, and everyone else is absolutely destroyed. Into the dirt they go, and Bifrost will move to 7-2. Singularity winless in the first round robin.
And Bifrost, they were just given a composition they could do so much with in this game. We talked about it, S-tier pick in basically every role, and you can see why. Despite the early game going so slow, the scaling aspect of this roster is just unmatched. And it shows here with Bifrost decision making in the mid game, them taking over in the late